Good afternoon. Hi Christy, how are you? I was just thinking about how I was having one of those days where you put like a book in the middle of a table and somehow the book leaps onto the floor and everything I touch is falling off, falling apart, not being right. The dog's been trying to puke. Hi, hi. I realised I didn't get a drink before I started, which is not a good sign, is it? No, little while. Um, so Amy's been trying to puke for the last like 15 minutes, but not actually puking. Um, I think it's a dog hair. I don't think it's anything more serious than that because we've stopped. It is kind of an important part when you're going to talk a lot, after all. Mm. Should we go get a dog biscuit? Well, yeah. Apparently we're getting a dog biscuit while I'm there. I will be right back. So I do apologise. Um, um, I'll do the dog thing. Hello, back again. Um, dear me. So how are we doing this Sunday? It is still Sunday, right? Um, I'm not entirely sure what day of the week it is. Already, oh, that's never a good sign. Um, so yes, so I am frustrated by a very sore toe, a sore finger from where I cut it on the plastic on the new keyboard, which, by the way, is great. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Ohana. Um, I wish there was something I could do to make it better. Um, I can feed you chomping noises of dog. It's about the only thing we can do. Yes, little pained expression on the brown one. Um, so, we have the almighty bonios for doggies. And this one's sitting, so he gets his first. We need to sit. Little, sit. Sit down. All the way down. There you go. So, I had another go at the very basic of the basic square that I did. So, that green thing, wherever it's gone, I've hidden it. I did this square, redid it. I did the onions in, I won't say the manner they were intended, because to an extent, I almost don't like the fact that it's got a totally pink border. I don't know quite how to explain that better. It just seems a bit weird. I wanted like the blue knobbles at the edges, but it does kind of balance it out, so yeah, whatevs. But I concentrated a lot more on my tension, i.e. far too much concentration on the tension. And although that onion's a bit big, It has come out predominantly flat, which is a good start. These aren't twisted because I know when you pull the rings tight, you're supposed to put your finger over them. But sometimes it's kind of hard doing that. And you've almost got to pull it in a bit before you can do that. So these are chain 10, picot chain 10. Well, that can be like this much. Well, it's hard to kind of all of that and scooch it in one go. So you have to kind of scooch it in some more. But I have been pulling these remarkably tighter than I was, hence they're tiny. I was going to do it with some other thread. I bought a couple of balls of yarn off Amazon. They're shit. I'm turning into a yarn snob. So I bought Christmas colours. And I'm sure the adept at you will soon notice, if I place them this way up even, the problem. Let's make that a bit more in the middle. If the first thing you didn't notice is they're not the same size, I thought I ordered the same size. Apparently not. This is a 5. This is a 3. And this is much more like my 8/4 cotton, only you could have zoomed in yourself is the short answer to that. Hang on, let me put it back. You could have zoomed in yourself. You have control of the camera, you know. There you go. Pop it back. Yeah. It's as close as it will go. It's funny how different the purple looks on that. The purple is quite a dark purple. On there it looks much more pinky. The pink's also a bit pinker, but only a little bit bluier pinker. It's hair, but the dark purple is definitely dark purple. But there you go. It's a free pattern on the internet. You can go and find it. It's on Tatting Bay or whatever her name is. That's where I got it from. It's a free pattern. In short, these are 4 times 3 things with a picot. The purple ends are 10 picot 10. Those little chunks are 5. You type in the command. I made commands for it all. So you can move the camera up, down, left, right, zoom in, zoom out. You get to do all of that. That way I can concentrate on what I'm doing, and if people want to have a closer look at something, they can. But yeah, these are then 2, 8, 3, funny onion join, repeat. And these are 5, 6, 6, 5. So there you go. Rory and Amy have discovered that they like Tic Tacs. Now, I'm struggling because these don't taste like what I remember them taste liking. So, I have eaten one of these. Oh, you haven't really missed out, Christy. So I ate these. Now, these are fruity when you get to the middle, but the outside tastes minty, which is a bit weird. I don't remember them having the mint hint before. Nothing mentions mint on them. Just rereading it just in case. no, there's no hint of mint whatsoever, but they have a hint of mint, and it's really hard to explain. So I was just listening in case it was next door's cat under attack. Because I'm nice like that, I'll go and rescue their cat. But yeah, Rory, you do know you're not helping, right? I love you dearly, with all my little heart, but, young man, you're in the way. Yes, you are. I have a face full of dog. I do. Thank you. Oh. It's Heffy! Hello, Heffy. I wondered where you'd gone. Amy's got Heffy. Amy does. You have Heffy. Yes, you do. Hump. Oops. Bang the thing. Strange conversations you have. What's the matter, little one? What's the matter? The door's open. You can go outside. You've got water. You've had a biscuit. You've had hugs all morning. What specifically is lacking in your life? Rory says more hugs. Okay. I do love you very much, but I want to do something else now. It's silly time. It is. Go bite your sister. Don't lick my jumper, you know that. I know. What's the matter, Amy? What's the matter, little one? Why are you being grumpy? Why are you grumble gutsing around? You're walking around like an old man in a bad mood. Eh? Animals. Go on, Rory. Off you get. Go on. So yes, so I intend to have a bit more of a go of that, practice and all that kind of crap. But I do feel that if I make these and then join them together, rather than trying to make one mega big thing, you have the mental joy of completion, but a lot sooner because you make one, you join one, you know, and then as you get towards the end, you join it to the next one kind of thing. But you have the joy of completion once you've done this, rather than when you've done 4 times this. I think it was 4 times this. It's in my pot. Did I put it in my pot? No. My pot smells like weird stuff. It smells chemically. Is that it? No, is that it? That's it. There it is. So if you actually look at this, this is this bit here in it. Well, not quite. It's more that bit there, isn't it? Like that. But it's hard to tell because they're the same colour, I know, but it kind of is that bit there. So this, obviously this square is at 45 degrees to this, because obviously that would be there, for example. But I think if in terms of size, this is what, 3 squares somehow. Well, it's because it's 2 with halves on the edge, I guess. So it would be much more brain happy if you make lots of these and build them up and make the, you know, like the inner 4 and then the next 4 and make, you know, rounds kind of thing. Just because brains like it. But personally, I much prefer the onions in purple. Amy, you're being really annoying. But maybe I need to make more. What's the matter? Why are you being so grumpy? Why? What is the matter? Where's Hef? Are we so... Well, and this is why I struggled with this. Because you start here and you kind of go up here, down here. Then you go up here, up there, back here. And at this point, it's still kind of manageable. But when you get to here and you're starting kind of from here again, now you're joining it on, but you did that, you know, it's not too bad because you only just did that bit. But when you get back up to here, that bit was a really long time ago. And because you work in and out and in and out, it's not like, say, making a lace square where you go, start here, fan out, fan to the bottom, and you have your working trains, you turn it round, and it's all ready to go, and you just kind of keep going. Because you start here, go up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, and then up, down. I know it's slightly off the screen, but you know, you make this kind of very weird zigzag pattern. It's hard to remember whether you're going left or right here, up or down here, because of course you keep turning it over as well, which doesn't help. And it kind of, and so by the time I got to the end, I got this long floppy kind of pissy thing in my hand. And although this is not big, because let's face it, it screws up and I can hide it in my hand, look, right? It's, when you're trying to hold it and join things, it gets... Why? Why not, as you've said, you know, if I was going to join this to that, for example, I would get all the way round to, say, the last side. So this might be my last side to go. And that's the side you join. So you've got the least amount of flappy fucking aboutness. You don't join it on the very first one and have it flapping around like a fish for the entire work, because that just gets on your nerves. So, you know, with the fact that, I mean, to be honest, they don't look, if you look at these and these, they're not that dissimilar. I mean, you know, let's line it up. Hang on, let's line it up. I mean, size-wise, it is basically the same size. So, you know, the tension can't be that different on it. But this does look neater. But I think what makes this look so scrappy was just the fact that I was battling with... This one has a weirdy edge, so you don't do the onions on the outside corners. And I'm kind of... I get it, but I don't get it, because that just makes it more complicated, because you've got to remember if you're on that corner on an end corner, right? It's just more things to be working from. And I did prefer these purple things, but I think I'm going to have to do... I'll have to say make 4 of these, join them together to decide whether I stick with the pinker outer corner, outer thing or not. But I don't dislike it. But yeah, I really did struggle a bit with some of these weedy corners. Mainly because the loop on the corner, I mean, this one's kind of turned out a bit twisted for some reason. But all the loops on the corner have nothing that hold them in place. They don't even have like a little picot that joins them to this. They're just little flappy shits. It'd be so much nicer almost if they weren't there at all. Or they were onions, which is why I thought I'd try joining all of these together. Because the onions have got a bit of strength to them. Not a lot, because obviously... Technically only one point holds the onion together, but you know, it does make it look kind of finished, whereas this looks a bit scraggle. So I'm going to try that. It's going to be something I do this week. Um, I have to confess, I am definitely suffering from not in the mood for a lot of things at the moment, and I can't quite put my finger on it. Um, I go to do things, and almost I'm like really interested in doing it, really do want to do it, really want to do it, and the moment I go, right, there you go, off you go, my brain goes, actually, not really. It's a bit like the annoying mate who goes down the restaurant with you and like orders a big pile of food, and the moment it comes, goes, oh, I'm not really hungry now. It's that kind of, but you just ordered food, love. Yeah, but I'm not hungry now. My dad was like that. My dad was one of those people. Um, my dad had to eat at exactly 6 o'clock. You had about 3 minutes either side. If you did it too early, he wasn't hungry yet. If you did it 3 minutes up, if it was like 4 minutes past 6, he wasn't hungry anymore. Um, I don't suffer from that. I suffer from the longer it is, the hungrier I am. Funnily enough, like a normal person. Um, I mean, there are times when you can be hungry for long enough that you almost forget that you're hungry because you've got used to being hungry. But yeah, no, Dad, no. I don't have like a 5 minute window almost where I've got to eat or it's over, you know. And then I'll just be a moody old grump afterwards. No, because I'm a moody old grump anyway. But I did buy. It was cheap before you start wondering and thinking I'm overly rich. I did buy this. It looks posher than it is. It's actually quite a cheap, nasty thing. But it is. Let me hold it over. It comes with um, some thread. It's size 8, which is not a bad size. It comes with a range of really quite garish, but you know, I mean, seriously, that you don't get much more garish than that. What size is that one? 2.75. Looks like a screwdriver. But it comes with a set of crochet hooks, but it is not about the crochet, for it also comes with dotting shuttles. So I got it because it was actually, the price of this was the same as the price of buying a range of threads. So this is quite cool. And of course what I could do is but do it in kind of stages. So you do like a centre one with the next bright one, and then the next round with that one and this one, and repeat, and then like make growing squares. I thought that might be a thing. Maybe have to make 4 in the middle of the darker one just to make it a bit more balanced, but to use up the thread, because you know. But I thought I'd try that. Some different size thread, some slightly bigger thread, because everyone else might. Whenever you what, let's try that again. One of the biggest problems I'm having is every single thing I watch for beginner tatting, anywhere, whether it's YouTube or any other video, they all act like 100% even tension is a piece of piss. Now I did watch a video last night on YouTube about tension for beginners. Okay. That was after I'd made this, so I haven't tried it yet. But the video was 10 years old, but it's not 10 years old. It was posted on YouTube 10 years ago. The video looks like it was made in 1970, so it's possibly as old as me, right? Now that's not necessarily a problem, because you know, if it works, it works. But We all have things that we say, phrases that come out, mannerisms, speech patterns, and all the rest of it. But literally every other word out this woman's mouth is "mckay, mckay," and you're sitting there going, if I hear that, what? I actually ended up commenting on the video. Do not start a drinking game with this woman saying "okay," because you'll be so hammered you will not get to the end of the video. You get through multiple bottles of wine, and it's not a long video. It's every other word, and she explains the tension on your bobbin like a sewing machine, which is a bit kind of weird, but it does sort of work. But at the same time, I work with a lovely gentleman, and for many, many years he had a very chronic stutter. And slightly cruelly, behind his back, many people, including my good self, have slightly taken the piss out of it, because sometimes it was kind of funny. So, the more confident he was, obviously the less he stuttered. But you always knew when you were right, because all you ever got was right? And, well, clearly your point is already made. You don't need to hear the word that's not coming out, right? I'm going to say he's been to speech therapy, because he now has replaced his stutter with a word. The problem is, much like Mrs. McKay, he uses it. I mean, to give you an idea, a couple of years ago, he'd come to one of our team meetings. He's not technically in our team. He'd come to our team meeting and was giving a talk about something. And me and co-worker who text a lot were texting. No surprise here. We were keeping score of how many times he said his replacement word for the stutter. In less than 10 minutes, this man accrued 120 renditions of his stutter word. And it's not a short word either, it's the word effectively. So you get things like, well, effectively, and you're like, I can't cope with this. We were howling. We were rolling around on the floor, literally, crying, texting each other, because we'd take turns in batches of 10 or 20, right? But it was the fact that they were racking up so quick. And I do have every sympathy for him, because I do occasionally stutter myself. And bite me, right? But he's obviously gone to some form of, or read a book or something, and replaced it with a word. So he doesn't stutter anymore. And that's a good thing, because he is slightly more coherent. But when you've had 15 minutes of the word effectively, you've forgotten what he was effectively talking about. If you get my drift. Because you get sidetracked by counting them. Which is a bit of a shame, really. But I do like him. He's a really nice guy. And he does do a really good job. As long as it's written down. The conversations can go a little bit sideways. Not that conversations with me don't go sideways. Please understand, I am no perfection in here. I have very little right to cast stone. Ad break, for those of you who are liable for ad breaks, is very imminent. I've got a headache. I quite like that. I was proud of that. That actually looks a little bit more like they do on the YouTube videos, you know? much more even in general. I really do need to tidy up. Still says ad break starting soon. Oh dear. But yes, new keyboard and mouse. Very good. Very happy with them. Hurrah! The ad's kicked. Woohoo. Let's put that down. Ad breaks are the bane of the world. They're even worse on YouTube. You don't get to control when they are on YouTube. I've got all of those things. I've chucked some on the floor, haven't I? Probably have. It's usually what happens to me. 2, 4, 6, how many? 2. Missing 2 of my little widgets. Or am I? Yeah, I am. I'm sure I am. And means that you've made a break for freedom into the great unknown. Says looking down. Biggest problem I have is I have a pile of stuff. There's one. No, that's not it. Yes, there's one. Now I'm only one down. Oh, there's tic tacs down there. The problem I have is I have it is difficult. I think the problem is it's so easy for tension to be just minorly out. And I do mean infinitesimally minorly out. And the difference between happy and crap is huge. I'm just going to quickly see if I can see the other one down here. Problem is it's under the table and I can't really get to under the table because it's, well, under the table. I know that sounds a bit Irish, but I've got loads of stuff down here that my work computer and the other work computer and, you know, all of that kind of stuff. Don't need that. I'm missing one widget. And problem is I can't. I'm a cat-handed idiot. And how do I explain this? Because I'm a cat-handed idiot, I can't do some things that just seem really obvious to everyone else in the world. And I can't explain it very well. But there are just some things I can't do without being cat-handed and stupid. And one of them is look under a table without constantly bashing the table. Even though there is plenty of room, for some reason I can't see. Problem is I've got boxes of things and stuff and I can't see. Because every time I opened this with explaining how everything I touched of a flat thing on a flat surface is falling off today. Well, you can imagine how looking under a table goes when there's a pile of stuff. So that's working out really well for me, as I'm sure you understand. There isn't really anywhere else for it to go. It's only here. Yes, I'm rifling through some of the boxes and things, thinking it must have fallen in, but I can't find it in there either. I'll take this out there. Put you. Piss flaps. And of course this is where all the cables are as well, so be careful of that. But I can't find the other little wooden doodad. It must be down here. It can't be anywhere else. It's times like this that the light on the back of your camera, which is normally perfectly bright, doesn't seem very bright, because, well, it just doesn't. Stop eating things! Wretched animals. I don't see where else it could be. Unless I can't count. I mean, you know, it's not like that's not potentially a problem. Let's put the phone back in my pocket before I lose that next. Because that's the other thing. As you know, two things have just fallen off this table for about the 90th time today. My scissors and my pliers that live wedged under the corner that almost can't fall off the table because they're wedged under something in the corner of a flat table. You'd think it would be enough, but apparently not. Seriously, I've said to you about how I drop everything. Well, this is kind of where all of this starts winding me up. This is not 8 anymore. 2, 4, 6, 7. So I am missing one. kind of needed to do that. I won't be getting there today, I don't think, but, you know, kind of need to find it. The problem is it's not very easy to kind of stack these together either. So unlike the big ones that live on the back of me, over the little tiny thing of my camera and light thing. So I'm just checking, just in case it was under there and I was being dumb, and the answer seems to be not. Well, so where can it be? Must be down there somewhere. Must be in the darkest depth of a box. And I'm being dumb. Other people. So as I said earlier, I am struggling very much with I want to do something, but the moment I actually sit down to do it, I'm really not in the mood. I need to place these somewhere else. Yeah. This is part of the problem. I've got so many things that, like these, that don't really have a home, that need a home, but don't have a home, but can't have a home that's obvious, if you see what I mean, on the grounds that, like we had yesterday or whenever it was when I showed you them. So I'm trying to open the sticker of this Tic Tac box so I can get in the thing so I can put these in it. I can't see. But I am really struggling with everything at the moment, and this is a depression thing, right? When you're in a chewy mood, you don't notice when things go wrong so much, because you're in a cheery mood. You just kind of go, oh well, and try again. When you're miserable, everything is an uphill struggle, and you notice every single thing because nothing seems to be working. Now, you should be able to pull the plastic top off and put things in the box, but of course suddenly it's all stuck down like it's made of frigging super glue. Hang on. Let's take the bit of label off each side. Yep. Now, just close the top. There's nothing to really pick to get hold of. Top of the box. Let's get the pliers out then. I know you can't really see, I'm just trying to get the white lid off the box. It's not going to be very practical if I've got to get the pliers out every time then. I feel like I'm missing something, because the lids always used to come off fairly well, but this doesn't seem to want to. There you go. That popped off. There you go. And I can put these in here. Right. Let's get them safe somewhere. As I said, not entirely practical, but it's a start. I'm annoyed at that wooden thing, but I don't really want to spend my entire stream playing Hunt the Wooden Thing. Where This is why I end up so frustrated, is because I go to do something really easy or simple, and it's a bit like the ADHD memes where, you know, you go to, I don't know, put the trash out, or the rubbish out as we say in the British, in the world, and then somehow you never actually got as far as doing the rubbish, because when you went to do the rubbish you realised that, I know, you haven't done the recycling either. So you go and look at the recycling, and then you realise that, well, the boxes, you haven't emptied the Amazon boxes that you kind of checked your Amazon box, and then you put the stuff back in the Amazon box so that you didn't lose it. So the Amazon boxes are still full, but you want to throw the boxes out. So then you go and sort the Amazon boxes out, but when you try to do that, you realise the reason you put it back in the Amazon box was because you haven't cleared out the space in the cupboard that was going to have the thing in it. So now you're clearing out the cupboard to put the thing in it, and you still haven't done the trash, and you know, and it's, oh, will you just fucking stay around the top of the bobbin? This is kind of where I'm at, right? Is that anytime I go to do something, there feels like there's 29 other things that have to be done first before that thing can happen. And there's something rough on this nail. There it is. I do get this a lot. Tiny splits in my nails that catch on threads but nothing else. So you can't find them except with a piece of thread. It's too long. But yeah, it just makes me so moody, because anytime I go to do anything, I almost can't. I can't just go and do a thing, because the thing's not, you know, kind of not ready to be done yet. You've got to have done this first, or you've got to have finished that, or you've got to get that out of the way, or there's this on the table, so now you've got to put that away before you can use the table for something else. It's nothing that no one else deals with, but when you're kind of depressed, each one of those things can feel like a very big uphill struggle. And you know, you wanted to do something that would bring you a little bit of joy because you're feeling a bit down, but you can't just do the thing. You've got to do 28 other things before the thing that you don't enjoy, which will make you feel more miserable before that tiny little uplift of, you know, joy that you might have found. Well, now you've gone, you know, down 28 steps of misery to come back up 2. So you're going to end up 26 steps more miserable. Hang on, let me finish sorting out my bobbins, because otherwise, you know, this is exactly the sort of thing I talk of. There you are, you're trying to do something simple and you freaking can't. Hang on. Well, there isn't really an awful lot to show, but there you go. It's the same stuff we've been doing for ages. So yeah, it's and it's the same stuff we're going to be doing for about a year to come. So yeah. I see. I understand. Yes. In short, this is only strip 2 of 8. I know that feeling. Trying to explain it, and somehow all it's doing is making it even more confusing. So yes. The bobbins are the least important part of lace making, to be honest. Not a problem. Let me scoot it back up a bit, because otherwise you can't really see the bobbins. So yeah, and now my table's not level. for which we all know I'm very sensitive to non-level table. But yeah, I don't know what it is at the moment, but as I said, it's not that I don't want to. That doesn't look right. That distinctly doesn't look right at all. In fact, it's not right. Because if you look, let me zoom in on this and show you what I mean. If you look, you might be able to see that this pin here, this one, isn't doing shit. This pin ain't doing shit. It's come out of its hole, or I missed, is possibly more accurate. Yeah, that's better. But yeah, I do suffer very much at the moment from, you know, it's a bit like, well, like coming on stream. So I've got to start 3 programs. I've got to turn the light on. Hang on, zoom out. I've got to turn the light on. I've got to uncover the thing. I've got to sit in the right bit of my couch. I've got to, you know, throw the dogs off. I've got to, you know, go for a pee, and, you know, not that that's a hardship, but, you know, one more thing to do, right? You sit down and then you hit go, and then you realise, oh, I didn't get a drink. Or I'm not comfortable. Or I've got a headache. And you're just sitting there going, I just wanted to sit down and do this. But I can't even just sit down and do this. It can't be as simple as sit down and do this. And as I said, when you suffer from depression, it's amazing how even a list of little things like that 90% of the time you really wouldn't think about is suddenly a big list. It feels like a big set of things to do, and not that you can't do them, because each of them is quite small. They're all doable, but it's just the fact that you can't just go and do it. That it's not as simple as go and do it. It's like, you know, if you went to make a cup of tea and then you go to the kitchen, you find your mug. Oh, well, you've got to wash your mug. Okay, so now you've washed your mug. Oh, well, you go to make the tea. Well, of course, you've got to fill the kettle, so you fill the kettle. Oh, well, you've got to do that. Oh, you realise you're out of tea bags. But there is a box of them in the cupboard, but you haven't put them in the tea caddy where they normally are. So now you've got to fill the tea caddy. You go to get the sugar. Oh, well, yeah, but you've got to do the same with sugar, because apparently you didn't have any sugar in the pot. So now you've got to put sugar in the pot. And then you've got to get the milk. Well, actually, it's not the milk, because you've used up the last of the milk. So you've got to throw that one out and get a new one. And each little thing, every single thing that you try and do battles you along the way. And sometimes it's really hard that you're just not, you know, especially when depressed. It's just that there is that, I am not sufficiently happy in my life. Well, yeah, and to be honest, you know, as an autistic person, you know, depression and autism, there are a lot of similarities. So even on a good day, I'm still kind of not, you know. But it's... Yeah, and it's the fact that not one of them's in the right state, so you can just do it. And you have to then do this, do that, do that. It is the computer program. You can't just add A and B together, because, well, you've got to have got A, you've got to have got B, you've got to have made sure that they're the right A and the right B. And you can't just add A and B together, right? And some days, the depression within you will sit there and go, no, I'm just not no, today is not the day for me to be doing that. No. And it's not that you don't want to, because it could be as simple as, like I said, getting a cup of tea. And you want the tea. You desperately want the cup of tea. But the fight for, I've now got to do, so when you go to put the box of tea, the empty box of the new tea bags and the sugar in the bin, you realise the bin's full. Well, now you've got to put the rubbish out. And then you've got to go out. And then when you go outside, you realise that, I don't know, birds shit on your car, so now you've got to wipe that off, or that, you trip over the doormat, which is kind of thing, so you've got to sort that out. And all those little things just suddenly mean that the one act of sitting down to chill and have a cup of tea and, mind your moments for a few seconds turned into an epic 2-hour slog of battle uphill against the wind and sideways rain, and you're sitting there going, no, I just wanted a pink cup of tea. So I'm looking a bit weird. There is something weird about this house, and I can't honestly explain it to you very well. But quite often, the weather in the back of my house is not the same as the weather in front of my house. It's actually quite a short little house, right? It's wide but short in its depth, right? So it is only one room deep. It's not 2 rooms deep like a lot of houses. It's 1 room deep, right? At the front of my house, it is towards the end, but late, sunny-ish afternoon. Out the back of my house, it's very much twilight. And it's that late kind of sunset change of colour going on. Whereas out the front, if you'd said it was 2 o'clock, yeah, I could believe that. Whereas out the back, no. And every so often it catches me out. Usually it's with rain and wind. So out the back of my house will be, I know, peeing down with torrential rain, and you look out the front and it's a light drizzle, and you're kind of going, okay. And then, or the rain out, the wind out the back will be nothing, but there'll be like hurricane kind of thing going on out the front, and you're kind of going, okay. Or there's snow out the back and not out the front, and you're kind of going, okay. And you'll sit, and it's, as I said, for something that's got to be less than 10 metres deep, we all know that there is the edge of a weather front, wherever it may be. And I've never forgotten as a kid, it was golf. I hate golf, by the way, but it was golf on TV. My dad was watching it. And they made a comment because there were like 2 halves of the golfing thing with a path down the middle, and the rain literally had divided itself at the path. So one side was in horrendous rain, the other side had sunshine. Well, especially as a TV sport. Now, I believe I talked on this one on the stream before, but there are many sports, I say sports in a loose sense of the term, but there are many sports which are fun to do. And I genuinely mean fun to do. I hate golf with a passion, so, but not to watch on telly. These involve darts, snooker, billiards, golf, cricket, football, rugby, tennis, ping pong, swimming lengths, because that's just people going backwards and forwards, running, long distance running. Yes, I can understand your issues. People who golf are really, really into it. Now, I will say, as someone, I went golfing once, okay? I did enjoy it. To do it. It's like watching paint dry if you're not doing it, though. And this is the problem I find with a lot of sports, is playing tennis is fun because you're the one running around whacking little balls. Watching someone else do it, not so much. Now, maybe if you have vested interest, i.e. it's your partner, husband, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, you know, you're there supporting them and you're vested in them and their success. Maybe it's a hair more interesting. But the truth of the matter is, it's the time to learn to sleep with your eyes open, you know? It's your brain shuts off and just kind of starts playing tunes in your head. Because it is not as much fun to watch as a lot of people make it out to be. And soccer, football, whatever, you know, I know obviously Americans have a different term for football, but that's more like rugby. But frankly, watching men run around after a sack of wind, again, if you are now I will say that if you are physically there to support somebody, or even a team of somebody's, even if you don't know them, there is a bit more of an atmosphere. There's a bit more of the mob mentality in that you get kind of swept up a bit in the event. But when you're watching it on TV and, you know, potentially, you know, nodding off, you know, oh, my toe itches, or like today I've got a sore toe to go with the sore finger from opening the thing. All of these kind of aspects, well, oh, I need a pee, and you just walk off. You know, you're not really that interested. I think it's the same as watching a film on your TV versus the cinema. When you're at the cinema and you've got the world's biggest, you know, screen in front of you, it's so much more easy to be involved with the film because there's pretty much nothing else you can be doing. But when you're at home and you're knitting, crocheting, sewing, fighting the dog, arguing with the children, your partner, you know, hungry, so you go and get a snack. Oh, I'm thirsty, you go and get a drink. You don't tend to do that in the cinema. You turn up with your drink and your snacks, and that's it. You try not to go for a pee because you'll miss something, and you're far more involved in it because it's surround sound. It's a big screen. You can't not look at it almost, right? Whereas little TV in the corner of your room, even if it's not that little, is still a little TV in comparison in the corner of your room. And the number of times I've put on something to watch and then started a YouTube video, started playing a game, because I'm bored. My brain's not actually captured by it because I got more brain cells than that, and I'm sorry, it's not enough. I need something more in my head. And then of course I get engrossed in the game and completely miss the program. I do that a lot. And but it's the same with tasks. If the task is boring, your brain moves on and kind of distracts you. And golf is a very good example of boring TV viewing, because, you know, there's the cameraman and it'll be, you know, whack, and so has hit the ball. Well, yeah, we heard that, douche, right? That's right, this doesn't quite look right, so I need to see what's going on here. Again, that pin there is not in the work. That's why it doesn't work out, because this is all the wrong side of the pinhole. What was I on stuff when I did this last time? But, you know, golf, snooker, darts, it's not that there isn't a skill to it, because there is. But when you're watching golf, especially on TV, whack! Then the camera pans to the sky. There is no discernible golf ball on screen. next thing you know, plop, and a fairly good close-up of the ball going, gadoing, 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 right? Okay. But that sums up the next 4 hours. Whack, gaplop, gadoing, 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 gadoing. Whack, gaplop, gadoing, gadoing. And a lot of, and as someone beautifully eloquently said, a load of white men dressed as pimps. And I mean, it's a bit of a 70s comment, but it was kind of true. Let's truly be honest. And you know, I've never forgotten. My dad used to watch cricket and golf and darts and snooker and pretty much all of the mind-numbing shit that could be on the TV, right? But at the same time, he'd put like the cricket on. So BBC Two, on would come the cricket, and a bunch of people standing around, throwing a ball and then standing around some more, because there's a lot of standing around in cricket for some reason. He'd be down the bottom of the garden. He can't hear it from there. It's not like, he could hear it. And then he'd wander in because he fancied a pee or a cup of tea. And I'd have changed the channel to something else because, well, I was indoors and I was not gardening because I don't garden. And he'd then complain that he was watching that. You were not watching that. You were down the end of the fucking garden. I've watched an hour of St. Trinian's and you didn't even notice. Yeah. See, that doesn't look right either. It is, but it's not, if you know what I mean. Where are you for a sec? But yeah, I always used to look forward to when it was rained off because they'd show other programs, and then my dad couldn't tell me off for turning over and watching something that was actually interesting, because 9 times out of 10 it was cartoons, and who doesn't like a good cartoon, But yeah, I'm not into Wimbledon and darts and snooker and... I mean, I like diving. Although diving is leap, splosh, right? In almost real time. I quite like diving because there is the element of... We all remember Greg Loukanis smacking his head on that board and there wasn't a person around who didn't wince, right? I mean, I kind of expected him to die from that, but he didn't somehow. But it is. I like watching gymnastics because I used to be a gymnast. But I almost have to watch it with the commentators turned off. But then you can't hear the music. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Obviously the men's doesn't have music, but I just find it really, really hard to watch sport on TV because you get the commentators of like, hey, well, she wobbled on the beam. Oh, go on then, go and get your fat lumpy ass up there and you try that. Yeah. You do like a double front on the beam and tell me that you're not going to wobble. Go on. Dare you. Because let's face it, even if they're an ex-gymnast, chances are they were not doing what these girls are doing because time has progressed and the things they do today are far more than the things they do of yesterday. Or they've changed the rules. Or like the parallel bar, the asymmetric bars are now called the uneven bars for some reason. And they've banned all the really interesting things. I mean, if you were a kid of the 80s, or around for the 80s for that matter, The fact that all the gymnasts used to have the bars close enough so that from the upper bar, if they were hanging by their hands, their stomach was where the lower bar met. So rather than just kind of bending their knees a little to clear the lower bar, they had to put in considerable effort to miss the lower bar because, well, they used to be able to hang on to the top and wrap in half round the bottom. So you obviously, to miss it then, you had to put in considerably more effort. If nothing else, just to get your ass over the bar, even if you kind of did box splits. So it was one of those, oh, how did that work kind of moments. But because they used to do the whole wrapping themselves around the bar thing, they used to do far more spectacular routines in that sense. And it does seem now that, to me at least, that the routines you get to see on apparatus these days feels a lot shorter than it used to be. You know, even the men's pommel horse, you know, they've got to get certain fit elements in, as they like to call it, but they don't. It doesn't almost look like they do. Now they do, otherwise they'd all fail. But if you're not paying really close attention, it's like ice skating. The difference between a triple axel and something else, all you and I see is they spin round 3 times and land. But one's not a thing and one is a thing, and you're kind of going, yeah, whatevs, right? And so an awful lot of the pommel horse is how your hands are, where your hands are, what they're doing. And there's a bit of you that kind of goes, really? Because let's truly be honest, you see them leap onto the pommel horse, they go twiddly, 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 they go back and forth a little bit, they occasionally, you know, they go up onto the handles, down onto the handles, back on the handles, down off the handles, travelling backwards and forwards with a bit of speed, and then they kind of spiddle, end up in a handstand, and land on the... Now, it is a lot harder than it looks. I need to tell you, it is truly considerably harder than it looks. But it looks really boring. At least with women's apparatus, they do twiddly things and I mean, the women's uneven bars is beginning to look far more like the men's single bar work. In that, you know, there's almost like you've got to have the strength move, and you know they go round and round and round and a little bit of a leap and around and round and round, a little bit of a leap and around and around and around, and then they come off again, and you're kind of going, I mean, they do have to go from the upper to lower and back again, but it just feels so much like round and round, let go and catch, round and round and round, let go and catch, round and round, leap, done. Okay. It feels so short. Whereas before, oh, have they? Sounds like fun. I'll have to have a watch on that. I assume that's for women. And it's not part of the rhythmic gymnastics stuff, which is technically a whole different sport. It's a bit like synchronised swimming and swimming. Both done in water in swimming costumes and waggling your arms and legs, but one's kind of artistic, one's not. And synchronized and rhythmic gymnastics is the equivalent of synchronized swimming. because you'll notice they hardly ever do any form of handstands, somersaults, backflips, tumbles. It's more bendy, weird bends, fake things. Okay. Let's see if Google will answer. Because it sounds like part of the... It sounds like part of the rhythmic gymnastics, to be honest. It's got to be part of the rhythmic gymnastics, because it's still uneven bars, beam, vault and floor, and the floor being a mat. Okay. No, there's nothing on the gymnastics website about it, so but I would be interested, because, you know, it's always fun to see something new. If you find a little video of it, feel free to post it in the Discord at some point. Hi Nautical, Liz is having one of those days where everything you touch turns to shit, you know? Really quickly. Yeah. Like, to the point of, I'm really impressed it didn't catch on fire, you know? My left hip's been playing up a lot the last few days. So I'm not sure I twisted them enough before I started, but a bit bloody late now. Probably could have done with some more twists, but that'll be fine. It's not like they're not twisted at all. Yeah, I didn't twist them. coming undone. Definitely don't have the patience within me for this. Thank you. Excuse me. It's all in your head. Animal. It's a hard life being a dog. I guess another pin leaping for freedom. Add time again. Adds into 3 minutes. So if you're thinking of pee or getting a glass of water, you have 3 minutes to wait. One thing I have noticed with tatting is it seems to be tearing up this bit of my finger here. I mean, can't really see it, but it's dry and pitted and frankly looks very second hand. So I'm just about to make matters worse. Where's a pin? There's a loose kind of scaly bit that's going to come off. When I mean a loose scaly bit, you can see the edge of it there. It just constantly seems to have holes and rough bits and hard dead bits, and don't see why. Goodness, animals. This is why I want to hibernate. Go out there and bite it. Either go out and bite it or shut up. Those are your choices. Yes. Hello, Amy. Hello. Yes, you, little one. Go out there and bite it or shut up. What? What? Yes, you lost best spot. Yes, you did. You lost the best spot because Rory's in it now. Yes. Yes, Rory's got the best spot. Yes, you, miss. What? 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 Trying to understand this dog is like trying to understand an alien. What? Oh look, a Spambot. Spambot who came here to die. Can't type from this distance. Itchy, itchy. Oh. yes, I'm really very much struggling with actually getting on with anything because, as I said, it's the moment you go to do anything, well, you got to do 28 other things first, and by the time you've done them, you're not in the mood anymore. Hello, Rory. Yes, you're very lovely. Yes, you are. But I don't need doggy help. No, I don't. No, I don't. I really, really don't. Hello, little Mr. Potts. Oh, have I not washed enough? Did I miss a bit? Pretty sure I didn't. Because my glasses are not a required part of face washing. Stop licking my face. Oh, little man. That's right, you hit the camera. That makes everybody feel better. You are a good boy. Mostly. Oh, what? Do you need big, big dog hugs, do you? Do you need big doggy hugs? It's okay. It's alright. I can't say I've heard of wheel gymnastics, but I do think I know what you mean. Is that the one where the circle's about the same size as the human? And they kind of get in them and twiddle round and round and round and do like cartwheels in it and spins in it and make it go faster and slower? Or is it more like a water wheel? Go on, Rory. Go on. Or is it the water wheel one that looks more like a water wheel? No, when I said fuck off, I meant like for more than a second, dog. Because if it's the water wheel one, that's usually quite cool as well, because they do stuff on the outside and the inside, and it's kind of like playing around with physics. Again, kind of less gymnastic-y, more dancey in my opinion, but you know. Rory, I said that was enough. I know it wasn't enough for you, but it was for me, my dear little man. I think my dogs are telling me they're bored of me doing this and they need more hugs because they're not leaving me alone. But I also know if I turn the light off and stopped, they'd fuck off. Little man. Come on, sit down. Come here. What's the matter? You seem miserable. What's the matter? Hmm? What's the matter, little man? You do give good Rory hugs. You do. Yes, you do. Stop licking my hands. Yes, you do. Yeah, hey, the great glorious thing. So that one's more like the water wheel. Yeah, I do know kind of what you mean. Rory, can you stop licking my glasses? It's hard enough to see through these things at the best of times. Hmm. Yeah. So there's another kind of similar thing, but not the same, if you know what I mean, where they have a single really large hoop and they do kind of dancey type stuff with it. I'm not going to say it's easy because I know that's not a thing. But it's pretty much, it does look a lot more attainable, let's put it that way, in the if you think of normal gymnastics with all the bounces and flips and stuff, we all know that if you were going to try that, you'd probably break your neck and die. So, you know, that's complicated. Well, this one, you stand up in the little ring and you set it twisting so you spin on the spot like a dancer, but you then can do like ice skaters do. Yeah, I've seen it as dance almost. But you know, like I was saying with the ice skating, you know, if you stick your leg out, it spins. So if you pull it in, it spins faster, and all of that kind of stuff. Um, they do kind of a similar one with a hoop on a piece of string. Um, and again, that's kind of the same shit. But there is a version where it is just a really big hula hoop kind of thing, and you can move around the whole stage, and you can lean at a few angles to make it kind of work, and you know, do a few things like that. But the water wheel one is more like playing with physics, because you kind of use physics to do a lot of the moves. So you kind of walk into it and then get lifted up and spin round it, because as it comes up you naturally want to go down, and you know, all of those kind of things. Again, it all looks really elegant, but if you actually look at it carefully, it looks quite attainable by a more normal person. Whereas if you think of like rhythmic gymnastics, they're really more contortionists in the making. Normal gymnasts are less contortionists, much more athletic, but because they're a lot stronger. And it is kind of weird that there are all these little nuances, because of course, you know, back in the day, you know, like 1940, 1950, there were 5 pieces of apparatus, done, right? It's since then various kind of side projects, almost like the little child at a birthday party who can't quite join in for some reason, so something gets invented to make them feel better. because, as I say, rhythmic gymnastics is less about gymnastics and more about being a contortionist. So being able to bend and balance balls on the end of your feet or whatever, right? And to be honest, the same's kind of true with any of these kind of hoop scenarios, in that for a lot of the part, you kind of star in the hoop and let the hoop do most of the work. So again, it feels a bit more like, well, but little Johnny can't do that because he can't bend that far, or she can't do that. So we'll do this instead. It does feel a little bit like Teach invented it to make it so the whole class could have a go, you know. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, because, you know, being inclusive and having some slightly more attainable things. Did you just fart? Is a good thing, because, you know, it's a bit like if you go and listen to the Philharmonic Orchestra. We all know that it takes practice, but the generic portions in an orchestra often don't usually play anything hugely complex. It's the soloist who plays the complex bit. As a result, and again, I've played in an orchestra and I can speak with some authority, the part you play as the bulk of the orchestra, you don't have to be half as good, and that's why you're in the orchestra. Now, obviously, getting it right, following instructions is a skill. Playing any musical instrument is a skill, not going to deny that. But at the same time, you don't need to be, you know, like the gymnastics. If you were cutting out all of the boing boing flip twiddle twiddles, well, suddenly it's not going to be half as complicated as it was. And Christy's just posted something in Discord, so let's go see what she posted. Yeah, it's the water wheelie one. It looks like a water wheel to me, so let me just share this on screen. Hang on. Desktop. There you go, you can see. So we can see this. So as you can see, it looks a bit like a water wheel. And what they do is they rely on the momentum of the wheel. So the handles are there. There's like foot things, and you can like hand on it and allow the wheel to spin you, or you kind of stay a bit stiller and let the wheel move. And they generally almost kind of rock backwards and forwards, so that, you know, again, using physics to generate a lot of the things. I don't know whether this will work. Hang on. See, so she now goes backwards. And a lot of it is, I'm not going to say it's not difficult, but it's a lot. If you actually look at a lot of what she's at, I mean, okay, you're doing splits on a hand, on a shoulder, on an elbow stand's a bit harder, but, and being the right angle. But, you know, as a kid, you probably did little rolls round a bar. Most of it is the wheel. You know, if she tried to do it without the wheel, this would not be half as exciting, if you see what I mean. But a lot of it is the just kind of believing that the wheel will take you around and you're not going to get stuck. Because, of course, gravity will mean that you're more likely to end up back at the floor. Yeah, it's... But if you look at a lot of what she does, I mean, that takes skill because it's got balance. But if you look at something like that bit, and as she rocks back, she does the little flip at the top. That was kind of stuff you probably did age 7 round a bar in a car park, right? The wheel is making it look far more elegant and interesting. So, not that that's a bad thing. As I said, no, look, there's another one. That was a bit more interesting. A lot of it is the confidence to believe that the wheel will do it. So yeah, a lot of it is, I think, is growing the confidence that you and the wheel will not end up with you trapping your leg under the wheel and trying to, break your leg or whatever. And I'm not going to say that that probably doesn't happen, because it probably almost certainly does. Like a lot of these things, it's a bit like riding a bike. Once you've learnt to ride a bike, you have the confidence that you can get on a push bike and ride it. And I think the wheel thing probably has a similar kind of process, in that once you've learned some of the mental, I've still got time to move, no I haven't, yes I have, and judging the speed of the wheel and, the angle you need to lie at so you don't just crump onto the floor like a sack of potatoes, and, all that kind of stuff. I'm not saying it's easy, but it's certainly more attainable for average Joe. I mean, some of the stuff the first one did with the splits and stuff, obviously if you can't do the splits, you're not going to be able to do that. But if you look at a lot of the things that they were doing there, there's much more of a chance of mere mortals attaining it than, i.e. if you went down some centre and they allowed you to play with it for an hour, there's a chance that you'd be able to do, I won't say that, but something like that by the end of it. Whereas, proper gymnastics on the floor or on most of the equipment, chances are, no, you wouldn't. It's that kind of thing. It looks much more attainable to mortals, which is a good thing. Again, I definitely think that. Yeah. Good point. Well done. Yeah, it is. I think that's the thing, is that the amount of, while you can stick an arm out, a leg out, while you go wee at some point, there is only there's a much smaller amount of moves, and you don't need to do. I'm not going to say there's no strength in it, because I'm sure there is, but it's not. I'm sure they're a lot heavier than they look, for starters, but it is that, because otherwise, if they weren't, the moment you went off centre, you'd dive bomb to the floor pretty quick, right? Because your weight would be sufficiently more. Yeah, so I'm not pretending that you don't have to be, reasonably strong, and I'm not going to say it doesn't need a level of fitness. I'm definitely not all of that. But I would imagine that if you had one-on-one training for an hour, there's a chance that you could do a couple of those moves by the end of the hour. I'm not going to say you'd look great at it, because a lot of the looking great at it is being able to firmly hold a pose, point your toes, being graceful, maybe, but technically doing, Okay. Yeah, it looks a bit like a water wheel to me. Because it reminds me of the water wheel in Pirates of the Caribbean. But I think it's far more attainable to Joe Public than, it's probably more expensive, because maybe you have to have your own, because it's got to be a reasonable proportion to yourself, because obviously if you're 4'1", you're not going to fit in the same one as someone who's 6'4", so that, I'm sure that you know, to go pro at it, you have to have your own, and you know, so from that point of view, it's probably not cheap. But it also doesn't look like something. I mean, I'm sure trap digits, arms, legs, you know, are a thing. Falling off, banging your head on it are all definitely ailments that come into it. I'm sure. I'm sure. You know, they'll all admit to, you know, having horrendous bruises and sprains and maybe breaks from things. That's quite a bit. Um, but the truth of it is unlike boing 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 flip, where you can turn yourself into a paraplegic, pretty sure that's less likely when, you know, allowing gravity to do a lot of the thing. 60 kilograms is quite a lot. Alexa, what's 60 kilograms in stone?
60 kilograms is about 9 stone 6 pounds.
Fuck me! So 60 kilograms is kind of my ideal weight. I'm not 60 kilograms. I'm way more than that. But that's the weight of about a 5'7" woman. Fuck. We don't normally weigh ourselves in kilograms, so that's a bit of a surprise to me. I knew it was a lot, but no, it's not exactly the sort of thing you'll go down your local sports shop who sell trainers and get, you know. Well, just imagine transporting the bugger. Because as I say, it's going to be, you know, if you're a tall person, that thing's going to be the best part of nearly 6 foot tall. Or taller. Well, you can hardly put that in the back seat of your car, now can you? You're not going to stick it in your sports bag and take it where you go. You know, you're hardly going to take it down the park one Saturday afternoon on a sunny day, are you? It's not exactly, yeah. I mean, none of us are surprised, because, you know, but at the same time, it's like everything. Sometimes you don't think about it until you actually think about it. Well, that's a bit dodgy, isn't it? Because you know what would happen if I did that then? Damn bucket would come apart while I was trying to sit on it. Because that's definitely the day I'm having. That's not as bad as I expected, actually. I mean, it's not cheap. Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I expected slightly worse than that, but... Yeah, I mean, to be honest... I don't know how to explain it, but I expected it to be nearer 5,000 or 6,000 somehow. But yeah, man, I want to do the wheelie thing. Not at that price, you don't. It's cheaper than a pony. Um, but yeah, that's... Well, there is that, but I bet you have to do some form of maintenance to it. Because I bet you there'll be, you know, you got to almost take it along and get it checked for lack of weak joints and things. Check that sort of all, any kind of welded joints aren't. I'd imagine after every use. Because even if it's stainless steel or mind you, you know, even if they made it out of titanium, human body corroding, you know, if you grope it with your sweaty hands and feet, probably going to wipe it down every time with exactly the right solution, and no doubt the right solution's the most expensive shit in the world. And then you need to do it with the right cloth that's probably made from Vestal Virgins on a mountain somewhere, you know, because that's how these things go, isn't it? I was watching a video last night, and it if any of you watch Hair Buddha, right? Hair Buddha was saying about how, you know, 5 things you could be doing to your hair that will totally wreck it. And don't get me wrong, I will confess I'm apparently doing one of them. So, you know, he did say that chances are you're doing some of these. I'm only doing one that I know of. But it was like, oh, you should have, you know, if you don't have this hairbrush, you'll be ripping your hair out. And I went and had a look at the price of the hairbrush and then basically spat my drink across the room when it came back as £270. And it's like, it's a fucking hairbrush, dude. Needless to say, I won't be getting one. But it is, you know, someone's always got an opinion on well, of course you can't possibly use one of those. You have to use one of these, right? And sometimes there is a good basis for that. Absolutely honestly, sometimes there are good basis for that. And other times it's just been a snobby upper class prig, you know? It's I mean, for example, do not use metal utensils in your non-stick coating pans. Correct. You will chip it away. Especially knives. You'll slice into it. Got to use a rice cooker over a pan? No, you don't. And if you've seen the cost of those Japanese rice cookers, holy shit bag. I mean, I like some rice. I do. I love me some good rice. But I've got an Instapot, which does far more than a rice cooker. And costs me less than one rice cooker. And, I mean, all it does is boil it and, well, yeah. Oh, I know they are. I know, but you're right, Christy. An awful lot of the time, there is, you know, there is a good reason why they're touting that this one is the only one to use, and the answer is because they're being paid for it, or they get a cut for every single one that you buy, or right. And I get that, and you know, let's face it. If you're going to get a cut for it, you're not going to come on and go, I've been asked to review this, I think it's shit. Because, well, then, well, that's not going to work so well, is it? But, what? Did I take your blanket away? Well, you do know it's my blanket, right? Mm-hmm. But it is that kind of thing. It's the, I don't know, I like these, for example. I've told you I got them on Etsy. But I get nothing if you buy any. I don't expect you to, and if you actually notice, this one's technically bent, right? There are lots of things, and there's a difference between giving your honest opinion because you've tried it and it was alright, or it wasn't alright, or it's great, or whatever, but you know, you get nothing in return. That's fine. That's a fair and honest opinion. When you're being paid, even though they say you can say anything you like, bet your ass if they would not give you the money if you rocked up on camera and went, this is the worst product I've ever seen in my life. It's a joke. Avoid like the plague. Because I really doubt they're going to pay you money for that. And as you say, a lot of them have some form of affiliate link, or they're being just directly paid to advertise it. And it's hard to believe that there is a fully honest opinion. I mean, I watched a guy play a game last night, and he seemed to kind of shit on it. While he was playing it, he was getting quite frustrated with it. He then filled out a survey thing at the end, because it's in early access. And what he wrote on the survey was not what I would have expected from all the comments he had made while he was playing. So, it's a PvP game. I don't do PvP, so it's not for me. But it was a PvP game, but it almost seemed like from the instant you start till the end, you are constantly losing life. Almost by not doing anything. Even if you just stand there and wait, you're losing life, right? And getting it back seems really, really hard. And the tutorial kind of yapped on for a while. A bit like listening to me, really. But it yapped on for a while about, oh, you know, this and that. And it's almost like, I don't fucking care. Can I just play now? So he went off to play. Then, of course, realised he didn't know how lots of things worked, because he kind of abandoned the tutorial. And of course, now out the front it's still light, and out the back it's black as a badger's butthole. Yeah, that's how it works in this house. But he played the game, and he was getting really irate because, as I say, almost from the instant, you know, the match started to the match ending, he was losing life, losing life, losing life. There were no heal potions that he could find. No skills that seemed to particularly heal him. And then he met someone a couple of levels bigger than him, and it just went and killed him, right? And of course, being PvP, that was the end of that match for him. And he was kind of slightly annoyed at that. And then he did another one, and he was like, well, I'm nearly dead, I'm nearly dead. Oh, look. Oh, I didn't realise that was a player. I am dead now. Kind of thing. And I think he played one more, and he was getting really wound up because he couldn't heal, he couldn't get better skills, because you can find a really great item but you can't use it because you can't seem to transfer your skills to it, and so it's kind of pointless, and you know, and all that kind of stuff. And then of course some player came along and went, and he was dead again. And then he filled it in about how it was a great game and how he enjoyed playing it. It's like, wish you could see what we saw for the last, like, half an hour, where you basically ranted and cussed your way through it. Now, as a crafter, we know that ranting and cursing kind of goes with the territory. And you can still enjoy it despite ranting and cursing. But normally when you rant and curse at a video game, without any yay somewhere along the line, you're not really enjoying it. Now, we all know that, for example, if you've played tic-tac-toe or Connect 4 against the computer, it can be a lot harder than you'd like to win. And you do get frustrated because each time you always seem to make a really stupid small mistake and it costs you the match. So you do get wound up, but you are arguably having fun. So I'm not going to disagree that there isn't fun during the ranting and the swearing. but he was constantly saying, oh, you know, this, I wish this was this, oh, I wish this was this. But the moment it came to the survey, bear in mind he was being paid to do this, it was all love and wonder, and it was kind of like, you are talking about the game you just played, right? And you know, he said, you know, and it was kind of the last question was this, you know, you bear in mind you pretty much rage quit after 30 minutes. But when asked, would you play again? Oh yes, absolutely. Well, you rage quit after 30 minutes. I've seen you wait longer than that to get into a game. Really? So yeah, there are times when, as you say, the thing being advertised is not getting a properly honest opinion, because no one's going to pay you plenty of money to go, it sucks. And so while they can say anything they like, they're only going to get any money if they say it's any good. So of course they're going to say it's some good because they want the money. And if they've got an affiliate link, they want you to go and buy it, and then you'll discover it was shit. But of course by then they've already had the money. So I do think that that is sadly the way that it goes quite often. And I think finding people who don't do that would be very difficult. As I said, you know, imagine someone said to me, Liz, we want you to try this thread out. And imagine it's like that thread that I was using to make the little sand and kind of maroon coloured things with that kind of bonded nylon feel that I hated. Well, if I said, God, you know what? It's virtually unusable for this. No, it's terrible. Well, they're not going to want to pay me money for that, are they? Right? They'll want you to do the, oh, it's so soft and wonderful and malleable, and this is a dream to work with. Well, it wasn't. It was an absolute nightmare, because it kept constantly trying to undo the half hitches you were doing to make stitches. So you were constantly battling to get the tension right, which is a shame. Do not get me wrong. But it's still a thing, you know. There was a thing. There was something else came across my computer the other day, which was about news channels and how back in the day the BBC were fairly impartial. Today, that is no longer true. And it's been that way for a little while, don't get me wrong. But the BBC is no longer properly impartial. And they now have, there's a website out there, apparently you've got to pay for it, so I'm not doing that, but that will actually give you, you know, you can pick the things you're interested to hear about, but it will give you the news article and then like an analysis of it by 3 different companies as to how impartial they felt the news article was, and you know, and all of those kind of things, so that you can be far more understanding of the hidden politics that was going on. And that sounds like a really good idea. I'm just not prepared to pay for it. How do I put this delicately? I don't care for the news enough. Well, I mean, I do, but I don't care to pay for it. I'll go with the free warped news and get, you know, and do the takeaway that, you know, when they say, oh, you know, fighting has broken out in such and such, well, that means people have died and there's shit going down. The fact that, you know, has broken out usually means that someone's going to come wade in and put an end to it unnecessarily, you know, who wasn't asked. Now, I'm not saying unnecessarily. I'm just saying that who wasn't asked to come and do it. And then, even if they were asked to come and do it, they'll make a bigger event out of it than it was before it started. It's very hard these days to get impartial advice and views on things. And we've mentioned how depression and autism has some traits in it, and I do know that when I am struggling, like I have been for a little while now, I get a form of paranoia, and I can't properly put it into words. But if I said to you, "Do you think that looks neat and tidy?" and you all went, "Oh yes," I'd be convinced you were being patronised. I was being patronised. That you were all lying to make me feel better, even though you're possibly not. I get really, that's the kind of paranoia I get, is that any compliments are false. I don't need to hear the bad stuff because I've already thought that shit. And, it's that kind of moment. Mind you, speaking of which, I better do my fucking timesheet. Gotta do that. That's it. I've got a week. That's alright. I'll do it at some point. Got to fill in my timesheet. Oh joy, oh joy. Looking forward to that. Not. But it is. Sometimes it's not always easy to believe that you're getting an honest opinion. It's a bit like asking your boyfriend, partner, husband, whatever, "Do I look fat in this?" Because if they say yes, you want to slap them. If they say no, you're not convinced they're telling the truth, right? It's because otherwise you wouldn't have asked if you didn't think it was a possibility, right? It's that kind of thing, right? There is often no good answer. Excuse me, got the urine again. But yeah, I do suffer from horrendous levels of. It is a form of paranoia, and it's really frustrating because it is so hard to share things with people, because anyone who says anything looks good, you think they're being sarcastic, or they're being, they're being overly kind so as not to upset you, and that it's not the truth. And not, it's almost like the more they keep telling you, "But that's what I mean, I really mean it," the more you're convinced, "My lady just protests too much," kind of thing, right? I want to put my leg on the couch, dog, because my leg's hurting. And there's almost no way they can win. And like I said, if you've got to do something really simple, so for example, wind more thread on a bobbin, you've got to find the bobbin, you've got to find somewhere you can put it, you've got to get hold of the thing, you've got to make sure you cleaned off any thread from the old one, you've got to put that somewhere, you've got to do all these things. When you're in a really good mood, you don't even think about. When you're not in a good mood, they are an uphill struggle of an epic kind of like parting of the seas level effort, right? And nothing someone can say to you will take that away from you. And if you've never been there, it's very hard. Because, I'm not going to say everyone's life's roses, right? I'm not that stupid. But if you have spent the predominance of your time in a good mood, and so 99% of the time, most things will feel like a really simple, small task, which is what they should be. It's only when you've had bouts of depression, it's only when you realise how depressed you are by the fact that the idea of, putting a pizza in the oven suddenly feels like a really big task, because you suddenly realise that you need to wash up the plate because you didn't wash up the plate yet, so you need to wash up the knife and fork because you haven't done that yet. You need to make sure you preheated the oven, you need to make sure you've got the tray and it's clean, you need to get the thing out the oven because it would be better if it defrosted first, any of this kind of crap. And suddenly you go, "Oh, you know what, I'm just not hungry enough to do that yet." The motivation to do all of those things, nah, I'd rather go without. And I do think that is something that if you're in a happy mood, you'll do them as like, oh, it won't take long. Of course I'll do that. And it's only when you're not, you realise how much effort even the small stuff is. And I've always maintained that couples get divorced over the small things. It's not the big things. Even if one of them cheats and the other one's truly hurt, the actual split will be over something small. That will be one of the main reasons, but it will be the final straw will be the leaving of the toilet seat up, the forgetting to put the lid on the toothpaste, the making the coffee wrong, or putting the wrong shit in your sandwich, or forgetting to do the bins in the morning when it was their turn. It will be something small, because big things get dealt with, little things don't. Little things, because if you always leave the scissors, so for example, let's use my scissors as an example, if you always left them open, so they're more likely to get damaged and you're more likely to cut yourself on them and they're more likely to fall off and get chipped and well, mine wasn't hugely, well, it's going to sound very Irish, mine wasn't that little a thing, but one of the final things that made me made the decision was a little thing. Well, I guess it does depend a little on your viewpoint, but one of the final things to me. So, Trevor and I get on very, very well now. But I had a week off, I think, and on the Friday night, Saturday, whenever it was, I went downstairs and I could smell something. And I looked around, I looked bloody everywhere. And then I noticed something on top of a cupboard and I didn't recognise what it was. So, although I'm not that short, because I'm 5'7", I was short enough that I couldn't quite really get the thing off. So I got a spatula and knocked it off. And got showered with a load of fag butts, right? Now, to give you an idea, if this is the kitchen, the cupboard was here, the bin was here, right? We're not talking needing to walk time zones. We're talking, half the width of the kitchen away, right? And so I went upstairs and gave him 2 barrels worth of shit in his face because I was covered in fag butts, because I don't smoke and never have. And it's the Mr. I'm not smoking either, so as you can tell, it was more the lying than the actual, although that was pretty gross. It was actually more the lying that had pissed me off. Mr. I don't smoke, but there was this great mountain of fag butts on top of the thing. And to be honest, well, I do know why, but I don't know why. He's never actually said, but I assume he didn't want to put them in the bin because I'd see them in the bin. So he would put them on top of the cupboard, and then just before his time to empty the bin, put them in the bin. Well, of course, I caught him out. So I gave him a load of shit for it. Anyway, he went downstairs and he sorted it out. A few days later, I could smell something again. Now, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me, right? So, a little bit wiser this time, I went to check the cupboard. There was a brand new pile of fag butts on top of the cupboard. Because obviously he got into a habit of doing it, and so didn't stop. While he cleared them all away, he just started a new pile. That was it. That was me done. That was the final straw. That was the, you are not coming home tonight. You will stay somewhere else tonight, and we will talk about it later. And later never came. Partly because virtually every boyfriend I've ever had has had a habit of this. See if you recognise this in someone you know. They have an expectation that if they need you to do something, you will drop and do it. And to be fair, depending on what it is, most of us would. But at the same time, if they want something, so if they need to go somewhere, they'll almost walk out of work at 10 o'clock in the morning because they want to go somewhere. When you need them to walk out of work at, say, 15 minutes before the end of the day, not happening, right? And I've had a few boyfriends like that. One got a serious mouthful of abuse for it, because he'd agreed to go out with me. We were supposed to be going around to someone's birthday, and he didn't phone, he didn't drop an email or nothing. I'm waiting. The time for supposed to be there is rapidly approaching. He's not even home yet. He comes home 2 hours late, and then, I don't feel like going now. Yeah, that didn't go down so well. Because pretty much a week later, instead of rocking up at 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, he got home for 4 o'clock in the afternoon, something he said he couldn't manage, because he wanted to go to watch an Aikido demonstration. He hadn't been to Aikido in 3 years. I was pissed. Anyway, it's alright, little one. But yeah, I was so mad because Trevor told me he'd quit, and it was more the fact that he was still telling me he'd quit despite the pile of fag butts. And then, of course, now they've grown again to clearly were new fag butts. That was it. I phoned the divorce lawyer there and then. Originally, it was going to be, stay away from me for a day, let me calm down, we'll talk about it. But by the time he didn't return my phone call, by the time he didn't ring me back, by the time he didn't ring me back the next time, by the time he... that was it. Because I knew he'd got the phone messages. I knew he'd seen the email. There's no way he hadn't seen them. And he had. But when it suited him, he would walk out of that office and do his thing. When it suited me, no, he wouldn't. And yeah, it got to the you will come home at lunchtime to pick up a bag of stuff to stay away for the night. And he didn't come. So the next phone call was fine. I'll be in your office in an hour with a bag of stuff and making a scene then. Funny you could come then, huh? But I'd already changed the locks by then. Because I'd already told him that was it. It blew up very fast and hard. And I stuck to it. But part of the problem was that the fag butts weren't all of it. Trevor had been suspended the previous Christmas and told me that it was because someone had leaked company secrets. No, he got suspended for being drunk on site. Didn't tell me that. I then found out how much he earned and that I was paying for everything, and how much he earned was considerably more than me. And it was just the lies, 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 lies. No, I'm done now. Done. Bubbles popped. Done now. Over. No. Done. So, yeah. Mine wasn't technically a little thing. Although the final straw on its own was a little thing. It was a pinhole view into a much bigger picture of more of the same. So, yeah. Technically, we got divorced over a pile of fag butts that he should have put in the bin. In practice, it was a bit more than that. But it was just pure frustration. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm no peach, right? I'm not pretending I'm a saint here. Because I'm really not. Absolutely not. But it was just that whole... if you lied about that, you lied about this, you lied about that. How many more things did you lie about? How many of the important things did you lie about? You know what? Let's not. Let's not be doing that. So yeah, it was kind of the end of that one. As I said, I wish you'd stop telling me that. It's not a new reward available end video. It's been available for about a month, and I keep ignoring it deliberately. 1, 2, 3, 4. If I wanted Doom, well, actually, I wouldn't mind the new Doom, but what I don't want to do is, as always, is sign up for yet more shit. Because I get enough spammer. Right, let's put this away. I'm done. And that's quite a serious thing. And I mean, to be honest, I was kind of glad that yeah, you really don't need things like COVID on top of that. I mean, I struggled with my neighbours because I didn't live here during COVID. I struggled with my neighbours because the people who lived next door to me during COVID, yeah, I didn't live there during COVID because I was here, but my old neighbours, bear in mind I still own my old house, my old neighbours throughout the whole of COVID, they had more people around than you. It was, bear in mind, there was quite a bit of time where people like me, because I live alone, were allowed to have a bubble. You were allowed to have a designated bubble of people you could visit. So you're allowed like a person or family you could visit. But that would be it, right? You were not supposed to mingle. You were supposed to be staying away. These people had people around pretty much every night, right? That, you know, a weekend there'd be like a procession of cars coming around, dropping off kids and parents. And I need to point out, at the time, I assume he still is actually, the guy had cancer and was having chemo, so was fairly low on immunity, and they had more people around during that time than I think ever before. They were having barbecues, parties, the whole shebang. And I was really glad that I wasn't there because, you know, I will say on a couple of occasions I actually had to go and say something because at 2 o'clock in the morning when some of their party goers were going home and they were rowdy and shouting the place down, it was like, can you shut up? Some of us are trying to sleep, you know. And they had like 6, 7-year-old children with them, but they were going home at 2 o'clock in the morning with these poor children. Anyway, and so I would have struggled because, you know, I haven't had COVID ever that I know of. I've had a couple of colds. I did have one time when I possibly had COVID but didn't test positive for it. But I had I had a cough. I'm asthmatic, and I potentially also have some immuno issues. So it could have been really bad for me, and I was really badly ill for a couple of weeks. And it was certainly something flu-ish, which of course, trying not to make COVID sound better than it is, but arguably it is just flu. It's influenza. It's SARS. Well, my dad died of lung cancer, but they wrote pneumonia on it, so they don't always write quite the right thing on it. Ad time, of course it is. Yeah, it would. You know, all due respect, the older you are, it hits you harder, you know. Unless you're really young, in which case it hits you harder, you know. Amy. Wine. You are the whiniest thing of whiniestness. Yes, you are. You're a very whiny animal. Hello. Yes. Yay! Everybody's being annoying today with Multicart. Everything's annoying today. Today is the day where you could have like a huge dining room table. You put something in the middle of it, like a book. You turn around and the book goes, whee! You're like, how? You know, this is the day I'm having. So, thank you, Amy. That headbutting the camera is a really good plan. Yeah. Her. Thank you, Rory. You're shaking all gently in the background now. Oh, I'm naughty, Carl. I'm really struggling to be motivated to do things and to keep doing things. The worst thing is, and I was explaining this earlier, I don't know if you caught it, is that, I don't know, like this, I want to do this, but the moment I actually sit down to do it, no, I don't. It just instantly evaporates into, oh, you know what, no. And this is where an awful lot of this, I want to do something small, but there's 28 things I've got to do before I can do something small. Like, you know, the cup of tea analogy, right? This is how everything feels. Is that to sit down and film a bit of this, I've got to have done this, I've got to do that, I've got to move this, I've got to put my ear thing in, I've got to run this program, that program, do this, do that. And by the time I get there, I'm just not in the mood anymore. No, don't lick her ears. Well, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Why are you two looking at me like I owe you money? Can you stop standing on my boobs, please? Amy. Darling. If I stood on yours, you'd have something to say about it. Yay! I definitely need to do something with Mount Crackmore a bit. But I just can't be bothered. I mean, I know I've got this week off, but I can't be bothered to do anything. You know, like everything. Oh, I could do all of this. Yeah, I won't. And, you know, let's be honest. I could write down a whole list of shit that I could do. And I won't do none of it. I'll find 1,001 things to do, but anything on that list. My co-worker's children's got a thing called pathological demand avoidance. Well, it never disappeared, Naughty Cat. Come on. But yes, it is forever rising. It could do with a bit of a trim, for sure. Basically, yeah. I mean, it's not in front of the TV, so, you know, that bit's still clear. I'm still good on that. So the bit that I did do is good. Yeah. It's the rest of the room that didn't get done that's the problem. I think it's one of those things is that if I lived with somebody, it would be a bit easier. Oh, yeah, I can get in and out. There's a perfectly good pathway that, you know, it's all safe. However, it is getting a little bit corridory, you know. But it is, I think it's one of those things that if I lived with someone else, even if they were as shockingly bad as me. Yeah, and that's the problem. because there's no burning pressing need. But I think if I lived with somebody, because I wouldn't be doing it alone, even if they just sat there yapping at me while I did it. Stop licking my fucking hands, dog. It would be, that's Rory for you. It would be a bit easier. It's the fact that there's only me and I don't want to do it. There is no kind of motivation at all. It doesn't need to be done for fire reasons. It doesn't need to be done for anything other than it would look better if I did. But I don't generally look over there, so it doesn't really... I mean, seriously, even though it is a reasonable size, I'm looking at my screen, which is, well, over there. Crackmore's over there. When I'm looking this way, even though I've got really good peripheral vision, I still can't see it. So it doesn't bother me. It's not intruding into my life. It's just minding its own. And that's the problem. Once it offends me, I'm far more likely to do something about it. So if I was to be tripping over it, I would move it. If I was to have to climb over it to get to something, I would probably move it. Did you just call your brother rude things? Did you? Did you just call your brother rude things? I think you did. I think you did. I think you did. Did you say rude things? Oi! That was uncalled for, Rory. I know she called you rude things, but you don't have to try and kill her. No. That one was meant a little bit too much. And by the way, don't you start more of it, because next time I'll let him. Ignore her. Okay. No! Do not talk back when he's in the mood to take your head off. No! Are you alright, little man? Because you went... By the way, if you thought you heard a slap, no, you heard me grabbing at him, and I had to grab a handful of collar, and I kind of slapped the collar, which is... So it was my hand more than the dog. Are you alright, Rory? You're looking at me with what? Yeah, I know. I don't entirely understand, do you? I mean, yeah, it's alright. But yeah, she's being a gobby cow. She didn't tread on your tail. She didn't say your tail looked fat. No. Even if she did. You young lady. I spent half my life protecting you. And half the time she deserves it, doesn't she? Yes. I've still not forgot Charlie when I couldn't be asked to get out of bed one morning, and he was doing the roof down by the back door, and it was like, I'll just shit in the hallway. So he did. Hardly get up and be mad at him. Amy, do not be calling your brother names and expecting him not to be mad at you. No, don't be expecting him not to be mad. Because if he bites you and takes a chunk out of you, you'll have deserved it, won't you? Yes, you will, little miss. Yes, yes. I know what you want. Yes. Don't look at me with that tone of sass. I can see it in your face. I can. I can. Yes, I do. Did you say that to me? Did you just say that to me? You did too. Rude. Rude. Rude, doggy dog. Oh, you said rude things. Oh, Dino. Hello, Dino. Look, it's Dino! I think they want their dinner. It is nearly dinner time, has to be said. I could eat dinner, that's for sure. Don't know what I'm going to have. I had fish cakes yesterday. Gave me wind though. Yes, I actually did hear that, and I still don't care, Amy. Amy, shush. You need what? And then, oh, oh. This is the chaos I live in. What? Hey, hey, he's got Dino. You've got Hefflump now. You've got Heffies. Hello, Heffies. You've got Heffies. Yep, Rory wants Heffies now. Where's Gecko gone, Rory? Where's your Gecko? Where's your Gecko? What's you done with him? You're not really a toy guy, are you? No. Hello, Rory. Right. I'm going to go and I'm going to do the dog thing before they get any more excited than they already are, even though I haven't done a single thing. Sort me some dinner. I shall hopefully catch you tomorrow, after at the normal time, even though I'm off work tomorrow. So, but hopefully at the normal time, because I can have napped and got up late and hopefully won't be peopled out. Oh yeah, excuse me. That's the plan anyway. A little bit of me says I should take a day off this week and do literally fucking nothing. To try and help my brain cells calm down. But we shall see. We shall see how we go. Updates will be on Discord. With any luck. I will feed you in a minute. I will. I will. Amy, ow. Can you stop? What I've never understood is how a dog who cannot stand on my thigh, which is nearly as big as her body, with her tiny little pinhead paws, and she keeps falling off it and scratching the crap out of me while she does. Yeah. Yes, you do. And stop trying to stand on my boobs. Will you stop licking too? I know you love me, but licking my hands winds me the fuck up. As you all know, I get a little annoyed after a while of licking in my face, but licking my hands and my jumper generally are off limits. It's funny how you know that. They still don't seem to remember. Should we do the thing? I shall hopefully be back tomorrow. Thank you for joining me today. I always feel really awkward at the sign-off things. So I'm just going to leave you with... I'm going to quickly check to see if there's anyone to hand you to. Of interesting thing. Game. So the answer to that is no. So I shall leave you to find your own way in life. Go watch telly, pull up your projects, chat at the dog, whatever it is that you need to do. And hopefully I will see you here again shortly, in about a day's time. So, and I might have more tatting to show you. We shall see. Not promising anything on any fronts, because, well, it is my time off, and resting and recharging batteries is the name of the game. And if I don't do that, it is wasted time off, so I must do some of that. I also want to redo the carpet in the hall, which is very, very, very time consuming, because I've got to douse it and then spend about 3 hours washing it afterwards, because it is pretty minging. It just seems to take forever. Or that, or I'm just really crap at it. But either way, it takes me about hours to achieve it, so it is something that I have to do in small parts and then have a break, because my brain just explodes after a while. So I don't want to do too much of that while I'm off, but I also want to finish doing that while I'm off, because it would be nice to finish that while I'm off. But then that'll probably be the whole week spoken for, and all I'll have done is wash the carpet and feel even worse than when I left work on Thursday. So anyway, I should be back tomorrow, probably around the 7 o'clock-ish time zone. You see, breaks from things are good for the soul, because the moment you feel it's a chore, or you want to delete it, burn it, whatever, taking a break is the better option, because otherwise you'll either, I mean, don't get me wrong, ripping up my carpet and burning it is an option, but then I'd have raw kind of, yeah, I don't know quite why. I mean, as I say, this finger's, it's not really obvious on camera, but this skin is turning into a war zone. It's like full of craters and holes and dry bits, and I don't quite see why. But of course it is where you pinch all the tatting. So I assume that the thread is sucking the moisture out of my finger, and that I probably need to, after doing some tatting and stopping, put a bit of stuff on it to help it. Stop licking my fucking hands, dog, or I will go really mad. Yes, you, Mr. Paws. Big waggity tail. Big waggity tail. They're getting really annoying. I must go and feed them, because it's either that or I'm kebabber. One or the other. There you go. That's what I'll have for tea. I'll have little brown dog kebab. Can I have little brown dog kebab? Can I? Yeah, and then of course, because it does that, but you haven't finished yet, there's the bit of you that's frustrated because you haven't finished yet, but also frustrated the moment you do it because it's not comfortable, and this is going harder and crunchier, and yeah, I need to do something with it. I've got plenty of things I could try putting on it. Stop licking my fucking hand, Rory, please. I might spray my hands in the anti-bitey, licky stuff that I've got, because he absolutely fucking hates that shit. Oh yeah. Oh, Rory wants a hug. Oh, hello, Rory. I don't mind. I'm underdog. Sorry. Can't hold my breath so long, little man. Eat. Can you get your claw out of my hair? Okay. Breathe, breathe, I can breathe. I'm going to say goodbye when I can start accessing my mouth without a dog being in it. because that was the challenge with all of the moaning and whining that you could hear from me then. That was why, it's because I was struggling to keep my mouth shut, otherwise I was going to be seriously Frenched by the dog. Much as I love him, being Frenched by the dog is possibly a level of intimacy I don't need with my dog. I mean, I'll sleep with you, not in that sense, but I'll sleep in the same bed as you. I'll be naked and everything. But no, Frenchies is a bit too close. I mean, I've shared all your germs, I know that, but let's not, you know, take it too far. You know, I don't need my tonsils cleaned, no. Alright, I shall see you, hopefully tomorrow. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.